Really cool to say that we got to meet in person in the meantime, between the last episode and this episode, just a few
Sure
months
did.
ago. Yeah, so awesome at the Symposium for Metabolic Health in San Diego. I saw you from across the room. As soon as I saw you, I'm like, I know exactly who that is. Marched right over there to go say hi to you. Now, as I understand, this is the first low carbohydrate conference you've ever been to, correct?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay,
A lot of
so
fun.
how did you find it? What did you think? Was it a good time? Like, what did you think of the conference itself?
I loved it. I thought there were some great presentations. It's nice to be with some like-minded people, a lot of people in really good shape, obviously doing well on the diet. Um, and just to mix ideas and get connections and new ideas that I could put in my assisted living home was fantastic. It was my first conference doing that. I'm looking forward to going to many more
That's amazing.
and
So that was
seeing
your
you there.
and I will be there. You better believe I will be there. I made the point oftentimes, like that trip that we went to San Diego, I didn't even go to the beach. Like you're there in a hotel conference room, not the most ideal place that I would love to spend my entire weekend away from clients. But it's just the energy and the talks and what you learn, like it makes it worth it. Like that to me feels like a vacation, and to meet so many people out in the space is just wonderful. Do you have any like standouts that people like you really wanted to meet and you got to actually meet them and talk to them?
Well, Dr. Anthony Chafee was a big one for me. I loved in the one of his Q&A sessions, someone asked him, if you could design the perfect supplement, what would you put in it? He said steak. Um, he's a big hero of mine. That Dr. Dominic D'Agostino, I've heard him on a bunch of other podcasts, and to meet him in person was pretty cool. I think he's doing some amazing work. I mean, he was even like on the Tim Ferriss and those kind of podcasts. Nothing against yours, but those are like Joe Rogan level, and they invite him on regularly. So it was neat seeing him. And what I really liked was a lot of the doctors there put their presentations into a perspective of a story or you know, this explorer went and lived with the Eskimos. I don't know if you can call them Eskimos anymore, for like 2 years and ate nothing but whale blubber and walrus meat and caribou. And they felt amazing and, had nothing wrong with them and cured all their chronic symptoms of anything. And, those are the kind of stories I can bring back rather than going, your ATP transport chain and this cell nucleus does energizes mitochondria. All this scientific garbage. It's not garbage, but jargon. I'm talking to families with a mother on dementia or father who has Parkinson's. They don't want to hear all that. They want to know, are you going to treat my parent well? And when I can tell them, you know, these stories of people really doing well on these kind of diets, it really makes them much more interested.
So much more helpful. And yeah, hearing those stories of people using this diet in the past, if I hadn't been in the space and, been really interested in nutrition and gotten certified and all of this stuff, I would probably think the same thing that most other people out there think, like keto, carnivore, fad. All of these are fad diets. They are going to cause problems, or people can't stick to them, or maybe you'll lose some weight in the first few weeks, but you're going to regain it all back. And I understand people for thinking that. When you're talking about some of these stories and understanding that people have lived this way for hundreds of thousands of millions of years, eating those types of foods and thinking logically, like that's probably all the food they would have had available to begin with. Like you start to understand that, oh, this is just the way that we are supposed to live as humans, is that species appropriate diet that Dr. Chafee talks about all the time. He's bringing that type of information out so that we can better understand it.
Right. And you see those, the old fossil record or whatever, or you see paintings of these people and stuff. You don't see any fat people.
Yeah.
You don't see people like laying in bed unless they got gored by a woolly mammoth or, saber-toothed tiger or whatever it is.
Yeah.
They were running around being fit, doing great. And it wasn't, all these diseases that people get these days are modern diseases.
Yeah. Yeah.
The people didn't have the big problems back then,
Yeah.
as far
Yeah.
as I can tell.
Yeah, as far as I can tell as well, that's the case. And you mentioned something very interesting, and I totally agree. You go to these conferences, you see many people that are really, really fit. Dr. Chafee, great example. Like he definitely practices what he preaches. That dude is shredded and tan, and his skin glows. Like he looks great. He's awesome. My wife.
Yeah, I have a personal physician that's diabetic. You know, we just don't discuss food or anything. We just go through the, nice guy and everything. But I'm like, you doctors to me should be the healthiest people in the world because
Yeah.
they have the access to the best information of how to stay healthy. And I see so many of them. Take some of my residents when they go to the hospital, I'll go visit them, and I'm looking around at all the nurses and doctors there, and I'm like, dudes, put down the donuts.
Totally, totally. And they don't know. They do the best they can. My wife
Yeah.
was following Dr. Chafee on Instagram, and she asked me one day, like, hey, is he as good looking in person as he is on like Instagram? And I'm like, no, 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 no. He looks way better in person than he does on Instagram. He's a
Yeah.
freak.
Yeah.
So we have
Wish
those
I
type
had
of
his
people.
body.
Exactly. We have those people that go to these conferences, and I've gone to a few. I'll give three quick examples where I would arrive at my very first one, and I see people that aren't in that really good shape. You can tell, like, they're probably not following the advice. Clearly, something's up. And my very first one, I sit down. It's a doctor of some kind, but I found out through talking to him that he's retired, and he just learned about this stuff like 3 months ago. So he's got weight to lose, but like he's there, you know, like learning all
Learning.
this stuff and thinking back on his career, like I can't believe I was not teaching some of this stuff. Another
Yeah.
dude this year at Low Carb Denver, he a bigger guy. He sat down for a quick conversation with me and found out he's just a resident of Denver that had a heart attack last year, and he's on a weight loss journey through listening to people like Dr. Ken Berry, and he's just there because same thing. He wants to learn more about this. And you'd look at him and say he's not metabolically healthy, but he's already lost so much weight. He's there to continue his journey. And the same time, same thing at San Diego. Met a woman 50 pounds overweight, but she's already lost 120 through fasting, and she's there because she wants to learn. And so it's cool to think that not only are you going to see the uber fit people, but you're also going to see people that are on their own journeys wherever that is.
It's so inspirational to me. Like,
Yeah.
you see all these bad diets and you see all this, take Ozempic to lose weight, or all these medications that are supposed to help you for all kinds of chronic diseases. Well, they don't. They might make your pain go away or something like that, but you don't see long-term success. And it's not just, that this diet helps you lose 80 or 100 pounds. It changed your life. Like, I'm never going to go back to that. And I hear that so many times from people, and you think, oh my God, this is something that's really sustainable and really effective. And it's not going to be a short-term thing. It's going to be the rest of your life. And you're going to have a much better life because of it.
Yeah, it will also get easier over time. The more you do it, the easier it gets. It is very convenient and not very expensive. And that's a good segue
Right.
into current state of
You
this.
don't, and me being a really bad cook, I can cook this all day long and do fine.
Just heat up some burger patties, throw some eggs in a pan.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
I could salt a steak
There
good
you
as
go.
anyone.
There you go. Perfect. Well, that's amazing. Well, this would be a good chance to kind of get an update of your own health, state of the state for you personally. This is an honest question. You look great. You told us last time you were eating a carnivore diet or something adjacent to a carnivore diet. I consider anything, 75% plus of your calories coming from animal products as the carnivore diet. But let's get an update from you. And again, honest update. I have no idea what you've been doing. Has your eating changed? Has all the meat built up in your arteries and is blowing up your heart? Like, how are you doing?
No, I went to that doctor, my diabetic doctor, a couple months ago, and all the tests were just phenomenal. They're, my triglycerides, I think, were 37.
Wow, super low.
Yeah, my A1C was like under 5. I feel amazing. Um, I I can I went to the climbing gym with my son. He's better at it than me, definitely. But I held my own and could, do these rock wall climbing. Never done it before, or done some very minimal ones before. Um, I hike up mountains around here in Phoenix and have no problem doing that. It feels really, really amazing. I go windsurfing for 2 hours at the local lake, and I couldn't do that when I was like 35.
Yeah.
Now I'm 56 and just loving life. It's it's wonder and I just what's neat about it too is when you feel this way and you realize how good it makes you feel, you start becoming a evangelizer. You go out and spread the word. You want to tell other people about it, not just in my old folks' home or something, but all of my friends, family, everyone like that. I'm like, get on this. I want you around forever and be my friend, be my relative, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that is exactly how it goes. Your results are so consistent with what we hear in this community. It's almost like expected at this point. If you start this enough to start experiencing the benefits, you're probably going to want to continue doing that. And then all the things that you said come true. Like, I'm turning 40 in a few months. I feel way better now than I did at 30. Way better. No comparison whatsoever. And you mentioned the evangelizing part, which I love. So with your doctor in particular, as he's giving you these results, did you spark any kind of like curiosity? What did he want to know? Like, he probably doesn't see
No.
many 56-year-olds that are in your shape and don't have medication. Did he care?
No, in fact, I think I talked to you last time about the work we're doing with a company called A Mind for All Seasons that helps us with our dementia residents.
Yeah.
So they suggested I go get the blood work and just make sure I'm not like headed the dementia route or anything. And so I brought the list of blood tests that I need to have for my doctor, and he's an older guy, and he looked at it and he goes, these young doctors just want to test for everything. And he like threw the list aside. So I'll give you the tests that you should be taking. I mean, that's where I got my triglycerides and everything resolved. But I was trying to explain, no, it's not like that. These guys are dementia specialists. I'm just checking. And he's like, you don't need that. And so I'm like, I just don't think it's necessarily, I could tell he didn't want to know. Like, he's probably been practicing medicine 30-40 years and set in his ways, and it's like, I mean, he's a nice guy, and I get my tests and he's right down the street, but so I figured I'll just keep going to him for a checkup. But I'm not going to convince him. I can tell right now.
Yeah, it's too bad that you see that apathy out there. I would almost rather have somebody want to know about it and then disagree with everything I'm saying versus just like, I don't care, I don't want to know. Although I can understand it, because like the work of Nina Teicholz came into my field of vision about the same time that she released her book in 2014. Somebody sent me an article, and I knew the book existed, but I didn't actually read it according to my like Facebook time hop thing, whatever, until 2016. So that's 2 years. And if I think back, I'm thinking like, okay, if what she's saying is right, then everything I've been taught is wrong. And so I kind of had a bit of resistance. And I wonder if doctors experience that as well. Like, if all these people are getting a lot better and don't need me anymore, maybe I don't want to know about it.